Continuing with the series in the 9th preview of the 12-part opponent video series, we're going to talk about a team like in the last preview with Virginia that has a ways to go, but going in the right direction, and that's the Duke Blue Devils. When you look at the Blue Devils on the field, they returned 14 starters from 2010 that went 1-7 in league play and 3-9 overall. When you think of Duke, they get Renfrey back, who got some very good reviews for his performance in the spring, and he'll come into the season under the radar. Why? Because this guy's one of the better quarterbacks in the ACC. However, he has to reduce the interceptions. Now, Cut is David Cutcliffe. Now, he's planning to use other quarterbacks in different offensive situations, according to the Times News out of Durham, North Carolina. The other quarterbacks on their rosters are Brandon Connette, who was given some opportunities last season in relief of Renfrey because he can move the ball on the ground, which they're going to need to be successful. In 2010, he finished second on their team with 321 yards and led them with 8 touchdowns rushing. They also have their leading rusher back from last year in Desmond Scott, as well as Sneed Thompson, who they think could be the best of their 3 backs. I'm talking Thompson. They need to be more physical on the ground this year because in 2010 they averaged just 110 yards per game, though that's better than the 63.5 yards it averaged in 2009 when it finished dead last in rushing offense. At wide receiver, both of their top receivers are back from 10 on a team that finished 22nd in passing offense. So that tells you something about Cutso. They expect Brandon Braxton to be a bigger part of their passing game. And on the O-line, they are going to miss Brian Moore's out with an arm injury. Now, he was supposed to fill the void when Brian Morgan graduated. And now it's going to be up to Connor Irvin to step up in the middle of that line. Now, Kyle Hill is the leader of that line, and Cut is looking for big things out of them in 11, not only to protect Renfrey, but to be more physical on the ground. Now, defensively, while the offense gets better, the D was 108th last year nationally, and it still has many questions. The biggest one is who is going to step up and be a force on the D line. The Blue Devils averaged just a sack a game last year and finished 109th in tackles for loss, coming up with just 4.4 a game, and that has to get better if they want to go places. They lost Patrick Ebo to graduation, and he was their only player on that line that had more than 1 solo sack. They do get Hatchet back from an experience perspective at nose guard. However, their staff expects big things out of Sidney Sarmiento after he saw a lot of time last year. Expect to see redshirt freshman Jordan DeWalt Ondijo at defensive end, while Kenny Anuki and Justin Fox bring a little experience to that position as well. At linebacker, they need to replace their leading tackler from a year ago in Abraham Cromar. However, they feel that Kelby Brown can step right in and have a big year there. In 2010, he was 4th on the team in tackles with 63, in spite of being injured most of the year. They also get back to complement him, Austin Gamble and Kevin Rojas. The pass defense has to get better, and it has to start up front. That way, more turnovers are forced, and opposing teams would have more difficulty moving the ball through the air with such ease, like they did in 10. In the secondary, their leader is Matt Daniels, a safety, and he could have another big year. Also back is Lee Butler, who has plenty of experience as a starter and should fill one of the other 2 safety spots, and Ross Cockrell, who emerged as a dependable corner last year, starting all 12 games as a freshman for them. He'll once again be a big part of their defense, but others are going to have to step their games up to fill holes in their 4-2-5 defense. On special teams, they return a stud place kicker in Snyder Wine. But when you look at the Blue Devils schedule in 2011, they could do some damage if they win their games they're supposed to win. They do host Richmond, Stanford, and Tulane at home while going down to FIU. In ACC play, like with Virginia in the last video, it is brutal. They have to go to Miami, they have to go to Carolina, they have to go to BC, and they have to go to Virginia. But they host Virginia Tech, Florida State, Wake Forest, and Georgia Tech. Now, looking at that schedule, you could think they could maybe steal a win or 2 this year, but I gotta think they may steal. They will steal, I think, maybe a win maybe 1 or 2 wins this year. But I think when you look at them, I think they're about another year away from doing something, maybe going to a bowl game. And my prediction for them in 2011 is 5-7 and 2-6 in the ACC Coastal. Now, in part 10 of the 12-part series, I will preview a team that some think might win the whole thing in New Orleans come January 9th, and that's the 2011 Florida State Seminoles. See you then. Bye.